To what extent do we have control over our own personality? I mean, I definitely intentionally shifted my personality through high school to be a certain way, but it takes lots of time, and the older you get it probably gets harder. I figure, on a philosophical level, 5050 nature nurture. The changes I had in personality after menopause really creeped me out. I think we have much less control than we think. You are born with a basic set of pre-personality tendencies temperament, which are molded into personality through experience, and you're responsible for how you exhibit your personality. You absolutely can change your personality. It's all about practice. If there's something you value or someone you want to be, acting like you're that person can make it natural. The control you exert over your personality is your personality. We are all just a mix of repressed or expressed base urges. Or something. I genuinely have no clue what I'm talking about. We have partial control over our personality, while genetics and early experiences shape its foundation. Deliberate effort, self-awareness, and consistent behavior changes can gradually modify traits and responses over time. Ignoring genetic foundations, your personality is a mix of built-up habit, morals, and discipline or lack thereof in any of the aforementioned areas. Your instincts and first reactions to a situation, presenting what you do say without consciously thinking, and how you do it, what moral compass your actions are based on, and how malleable your views and actions can be at any given time. Like many areas of your life, your ability to change something, in this case your personality, depends on how much work you are willing to put into a certain goal, and then maintain it until you no longer need to. The level of control you have over yourself, not just your personality, is directly dependent on how much attention you actually give it. Like practicing a sport to get better at it. Most of us have control over our behavior, and that informs others of our personality. I know personally that I've been able to change my personality by being more intentional about my behavior, and I did that after the age of 35. I used to believe that to a large degree my personality, my habits, my skills and abilities, and so on, were as much a personal choice as anything regarding taste and special interests. That the person that I am was as much my own creation as the result of the conditions I was brought up in. Then in 2023, at the age of 42, I was diagnosed with high-functioning autism, and many of the traits that I had believed were genuinely my own turned out to be diagnosis criteria. They were on a checklist. I still don't know what to make of it. It felt like I had just followed a script unconsciously and not taken part in my own life or made any fundamental or meaningful choices. If you determine to change something, you may need to make a definite goal. If the behavior is deep-seated and comes from childhood, you may need therapy. It's a ton of work and the payoff is 5-10 years away. But then, if you are 30 now, you can kiss several unpleasant traits goodbye and live a happier life from 40-85. I think we have a pretty wide ability to do that. The question is, why would we want to? It might be great to change one or two things about yourself, but if you completely change your personality 100, I'd argue you'd lose some of yourself in the process. It's like those people who fall into deeply restrictive cults, and their friends say they don't recognize them anymore. That's a really funny question. Of course you do. Many people consciously code switch. We all have an inner constant that will still come out. I think it's probably something you should have learned by now. Your personality is 50 genetic and 50 environment. Genetics plays a massive role, but your environment affects how those genetics are expressed. The same genes that would lead you to like fox hunting in the 800s might lead you to like heavy metal today. You can like act, I guess? It's definitely not control like molding a chunk of clay. For me, it seems not up to you. I imagine there's some level of semblance to faking it till you make it. I think trying to change who you are at your core would be doing yourself a disservice, but a good example in terms of self-improvement is faking confidence. Over time, it starts to feel more real, and that confidence will affect the way you both think of and carry yourself. In turn, it'll for sure reshape some aspects of your personality, or at least how it's perceived. Your basic personality is shaped by genetics, and childhood are a pretty big mountain to move. But behavior can be modified. You may always be an introvert, but you can establish some habits to socialize more, etc. You can learn manners, patience, anger management, tolerance, diversity if you put in the work. I've grown to feel as if our personality is out of our control. It's been said multiple times in these comments that it's both biological and molding from experience. I believe that because I act a lot like my father sometimes, whom I am not fond of to say the least, yet only have met him twice in 23 years. I've also been through major depression from past stories, which have seemed to seep into my traits as well. I feel there are traits we can work on, though a lot has to do with what's out our control. Without breaking the flow of cause and effect, how could we control it? We experience a strong illusion of free will, but all our thoughts are just arising from biochemistry that has to follow the laws of cause and effect. I think about this a lot with myself. I'm very introverted and a homebody, and while I'm perfectly content with it sometimes, there's other times I really hate that aspect of me, and I wonder if it's something I can change by actively forcing myself to be different until the change naturally happens, or if I'm just fighting who I'm supposed to be and I need to accept myself.